Hi guys, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Peter Louis.
Welcome back to Legend and Lore, a world tour. Today we're diving into a piece of our own folklore. One you've probably heard whispers across South Africa, should you be from here. The Tokoloshe. Although it is believed to have originated from the Zulu and Xhosa culture, it has been whispered throughout South Africa and its many nationalities. Picture this. It's midnight in a small village, eerily silent. Only the cicada and a distant bark of a watchdog. Inside one humble home, a 4-year-old child sleeps restlessly. Suddenly, the mother hears a scratching at the door, soft but urgent. She tiptoes to the bedside, only to see the covers previously tucked in snugly now lie in a heap on the floor. Her son lies shivering, eyes wide, mouth open to scream, but no sound comes out. In that instant, she swears she sees a small, hunched silhouette in the corner. Pale skin, glowing ember red eyes, slimy arms reaching out. She backs away, dropping the grail of Mbepo at her feet. Smoke fills the room. When the haze clears, the shape is gone. But the child's bed has shifted, as if something strong pulled at it. Is it imagination, sleep paralysis, or a Tokoloshe come to snatch a soul?
What's Mbepo?
It's basically, the Afrikaans is wierook. It's basically, what's the English word for it now? It's let me just get the English word for it because my mind is only sticking to the Afrikaans part. Sorry, guys. Okay, we know it's sage. There's the word. It's sage.
Sage. Sage isn't.
You burning sage. You burn sage.
Oh, some. Yeah,
That's why I think. Okay, but that's why I think about wierook because it's.
Okay, so it's sage.
Yes, it's basically herbs that are burned. I compare it to wierook, the Afrikaans, because
Is it something
you
that?
burn it.
Well, why would she be dropping sage in the middle of the night?
I'm guessing she tried to keep Tokoloshe out, so she was probably busy
So
putting
sage,
it down
is sage
to a
something
kind
she uses to take away the Tokoloshe?
to keep him away. Yes,
Okay.
we'll get to that. You're jumping ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, it is said that the Tokoloshe comes from the Zulu word. Guys, I'm gonna torture this. Exakoloshane.
Well, remember in Zulu, a X is a.
Okay, yes, but I
So.
Koloshane.
Tokoloshe.
Let's go with Peter Louis' version because
Okay.
I suck in Zulu. Okay, so that literally means little crocodile. Imagine a creature born of a swamp and shadow, half reptile, half dwarf, slipping through the darkness with silent, webbed feet. In Nguni lore, this beast is no ordinary spirit. Its whispers began amongst Xhosa storytelling. Tokoloshe tales now travel the length of South Africa, threading through Zulu, Sotho, and so many other communities.
Okay, just sake of in case someone doesn't really know how Africa and South Africa works, is in South Africa we've got 12 official languages. Most languages stem from a region or a tribe of black natives. So that means Zulu would have been on the eastern side of Africa. The Xhosas would have been more inland.
It's KwaZulu-Natal and Cape mostly. That's where it.
Yeah, so
it
you get
started.
your Zulu, your Xhosa, your Tswana, your. So it's very interesting that you say that it's a Zulu. It's from a Zulu word, but it's a Xhosa storyteller. So it kind of says something about the Tokoloshe. That they kind of blame each other. It feels like they're blaming each other for it, or they're using each other to. You know,
I honestly
throw the
feel
Tokoloshe
like
around.
the Tokoloshe is pretty much through most black cultures, even though you have the different cultures because they are very different all, but I really feel they all kind of believe in the Tokoloshe because I grew up with it. And I mean, I didn't actually know physically what the Tokoloshe was until Peter Louis brought it up in the previous episode, and I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's look into it, because I knew of the Tokoloshe because we had a cleaning lady. She was not live-in, but most live-in cleaning ladies, basically, I don't know if I named that later, but sorry if I'm going to repeat myself. In those times, they put their beds on top of bricks. So it was then you were like, what are you doing? And that is how I physically learned about it. She told me about it, why people's cleaning ladies' beds are on bricks, because they're trying to keep the Tokoloshe away. So I knew of it from a very little age, but it wasn't used as a scary story for us. I just knew of it.
I want a little bit more explanation for anyone that doesn't understand that. So we have live-in maids, or we used to have live-in maids in South Africa.
Well, not everybody has live.
Well, a lot of
Mine didn't live in, but yes, okay.
a lot of it was
It's still a big
it
thing.
was very common to
It's
have
still common.
yeah, to have servants' quarters at your house. It's not like we're extremely rich. It's just it was because of where South Africa was at that time, with all the oppression and stuff allegedly happening. Um, the black people stayed in the township, and if they wanted to stay with you, they came to stay as a live-in
No,
at
if you
your
wanted
house.
to live in cleaning,
Yeah, so that it
they
became
stayed at your house
kind
for
of
the
a
week.
thing where you had a cleaning lady or a maid actually stay at your house in a servant's quarter.
Okay, but it's still a thing. Back
It's
then,
still a thing, yeah. It's not as big as it was
I
then.
know in apartheid times, which is what
Yeah.
you're insinuating, basically it was seen as a very. You were well off if you had that job. You were somebody that had a very fancy job if you were a cleaning lady. And now, obviously, it's just, isn't seen like that.
Yeah, because we had a live-in maid down in Cape Town.
Cleaning lady.
Maid or
apparently.
cleaning lady. It's you can
People get offended, apparently.
people
to
do get
say
offended
maid.
around here, but yeah,
So
it's
let's
cleaning
just say
lady.
cleaning lady.
You can't say servant because it's servant quarter. Anyway, cleaning lady.
But they weren't servants.
And
they
that's
were
how
paid.
I learned about the Tokoloshe. Was I walked into her room and the bed was on bricks. It was like basically the bed is almost 1.5 meters off the ground, and the reason was she was scared of the Tokoloshe, and that's where I learned about the Tokoloshe.
Yes.
It's not
I
something.
don't know why we got to that topic, because our cleaning lady, which was literally like my second mother, she didn't live in. She just worked 5 days a week and then she'd come back next Monday. She preferred to stay at her home, and I know my dad didn't want anybody living with us. And so that was fine, it was perfect, but I don't know how we got to the Tokoloshe. But I know I had a discussion with her and I was still very young. And she told me about it. But yes, so this is the first time I actually went and looked at what I knew. It was a small thing that comes from under your bed. That's pretty much what I knew about Tokoloshe. I didn't really know what he does to you. I just knew we should be scared of him.
Yeah, I heard we should be scared of it. It's a little dwarf-like thing. It's very short. It's very hairy.
Okay, don't give too much information because I'm getting to that.
Well, I know short and hairy.
I'm
And that's
kidding
what I
you.
know. Well, that's what I knew when I was 5 years old. And I didn't actually know you say that it comes from under the bed.
No, that's what I've understood it as. That's what's.
No, it's just it came from somewhere, and
Yes,
if the
no,
bed
it
was high, it
doesn't.
can't reach you.
That's what I understood it as, because that's why it was on bricks, the beds. But anyway, so into that deep dive. Okay, so folklore paints him as a squat, gremlin-like figure, hunched and hairy, with ears so small they seem hidden beneath tuts of matted fur, and eyes as black as freshly turned earth. Rumor has it that he is usually well endowed, so much so that some believe he once flung his own appendage over his shoulder like a cloak. Let's hope that wording makes it allowed
Okay.
on YouTube. Anyway, they say he can use that very oddity to beguile unsuspecting women. By day, he may curl up at a child's feet, content to be their secret playmate, but cross him, and his playful nature curdles into something far more sinister: nightmares, sudden illness, even death.
Right, so there is a good part to the Tokoloshe.
I don't see it as a good part. I see it as a creepy part.
The playful, what do you say? Playful at the child's feet.
Yeah, so he plays with the kid until the kid irritates him and then he kills him, basically. He
Does he
gives him
ever,
no-
did he actually ever kill anyone?
illness, death, nightmares. Yes.
Has anyone actually ever died of it?
Not like, well, yes, that's the stories, obviously. obviously there's going to be no physical proof, because what police record will say, oh, Tokoloshe killed this person. This illness came from a Tokoloshe. You can't prove that.
Because it makes people sick and then they die. It's not like slashing your throat.
Yeah, it's not. Well, there's one account that's a bit weird, but he didn't die. But I'll get to that.
Okay.
But no, I don't think he physically comes to scratch your eyes out and kill you type of situation. I think he gives you an illness and you die slowly. So, according to Sangomas, also known as a traditional healer, the Tokoloshe is not natural. He is created. A witch brews a foul potion of graveyard soil, crushed monster-born scales, and secret forest herbs. By night, under a new moon, the Sangoma mixes this brew with animal fat, mutters incantations, and calls forth the creature. Once bound, the Tokoloshe obeys every dark whim until it turns on its master, as all dangerous spirits do. There was also one account where they said that while he is well endowed, basically he sleeps with his master and stuff, but that was a bit weird. But anyway, so I don't know how true that is, but okay. So these tales date back centuries. Before colonial maps labeled Zululand and Natal, they speak to a world where the line between human and spirit blurred, where envy and vengeance could become embodied in a fleshless child demon. Small, barely knee-high to an adult, yet astonishingly strong. Descriptions vary. Some say his skin is ashen grey and slimy, others claim its silky green sheen. Eyes glow red or white in the dark. His most feared power? Invisibility. Now this creeped me out. This was the part where I was like, what? So, unless you know the trick,
so it's basically everything that you can.
It's so creepy.
It's everything. It's
that means
it's a ghost. It's a mermaid. It's a.
He doesn't
everything.
have to hide underneath your bed. He can just stand there invisibly, and you can see him if you don't know the tricks to get rid of him.
Okay.
Which is where I think the sage and stuff comes in. So,
Right.
Locals dot their beds with rice or maize kernels before sleep. The Tokoloshe must count each grain before he can approach his victim. That gives you just enough time to grab a stick or an iron. Tokoloshes are said to fear iron and drives them away.
Iron, like in the
No, not the one you
not the appliance.
iron with.
So not
no,
the appliance. It's a
physical element.
Okay,
Iron.
so iron. So like a werewolf with silver and a.
Can you imagine?
What's it? The vampire with silver and a werewolf with. No, yeah.
Both are silver.
A silver bullet kills a werewolf allegedly.
Yes, but silver can also. No, it's a wooden. Yeah, silver can also kill a vampire. I can't
No,
remember.
wooden stake will kill a vampire. Silver. Okay, anyway, but yeah, okay. So iron is
It's the Tokoloshe.
It's the kryptonite. Okay.
Well, there's a few, but iron. So he creeps into homes through unlocked windows or gaps in thatch roofs. Once inside, he tugs at limbs, steals children's breath, and whispers vile curses to weaken the sick or vulnerable. Livestock vanish overnight. Sugarcane fields flatten in peculiar patterns. These disasters are often blamed on the Tokoloshe's raids. If you grew up in South Africa, you might recall seeing your... Oh, yeah, that's... Okay, so we already spoke about that. The live-in cleaning ladies with the beds on bricks. Apparently also wooden blocks. So, you'll still spot beds stacked on bricks, iron nails tucked under pillows, mbepo smoke curling at doorways, and shark-tooth charms swaying above entrances. Every precaution born of generations of belief. Decade-old customs still grip us today. Then, just when you think modern life has no room for magic, this happens. In 2014, police in Gauteng recorded a bizarre call. A man claimed a small creature pulled him from his bed, pinned him to the floor, and hissed in his ear. He showed up at the station with scratch marks and a shredded mattress. Officers logged the call as unknown intruder. But word spread. Tokoloshe, they said, must have escaped its master. Scientists and skeptics argue these are sleep paralysis episodes when your mind wakes before your body, you hallucinate figures spinning you down, combine it with cultural expectation, and you have a perfect recipe for a Tokoloshe sighting.
Yeah, I do. I think we spoke about the sleep paralysis a couple of episodes ago. It is
It's
something
easy to
about
blame anything on sleep paralysis.
it is, but I don't think I won't go for sleep paralysis on this one because now you're actually seeing something.
You
So-
pulled him from the bed. How is that sleep
I know
paralysis?
it's not sleep paralysis. That means you're actually moving. You're actually. How do you explain it? I don't think this is. I don't think Tokoloshe is sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis literally means you're laying still, seeing something above
Seeing
you,
something exactly, and this
and
one
not seeing something beside you. That's kind of one of the sleep paralysis things. Is you looking up, not looking sideways.
Well, you can sleep on your side and
you
look
can,
in front
but you
of
won't.
you, but
I don't think.
I don't think it's sleep paralysis.
Um,
Although they blame it on it.
just also to mention, let's explain Africa some more. Is in most, obviously, like I said, most of the black people at that time, back in when I learned about Tokoloshe, they stayed in townships. Townships nowadays and back then are informal settlements. It's squatter camps. It's built of basically tin houses, not very big. Not a lot of them are built from bricks. So that means there's a lot of spaces for stuff to get into the house, and that means anything can get into your
really,
house.
it's normally one space with.
Yeah, they do like a 1 room or 2 room. There's ways of making more rooms. I don't know if you've seen what was that movie about the aliens?
No, I don't know.
The one where the aliens came to Africa.
No clue.
Anyway, by the way, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But basically, that's a squatter camp. That's what most of the people that believe that Tokoloshe stays in something like that, and that means a lot of things can get into your house, literally because there are so many gaps in your house. So I wouldn't go for sleep paralysis. I will go with it could be anything that attacked this guy.
Small animals.
A small animal.
it's-
It could have
there's not
actually been a
really-
person. It could have been a
I
child.
don't agree. It's still their homes were still closed. You couldn't get in it, so I don't completely agree with that.
It's not.
Yes,
Very,
the
it's not
settlements
poorly
today
built.
is still
It
that,
just-
but you also get fancier houses
you
there.
do. You
and
do. But I'm pretty sure this.
They changed it a
I
lot.
think this guy in 2014 probably. It would have probably been an informal settlement with an informal house built from tin.
Yeah, I don't
It's
care. That
80% chance.
It's scratched up. How you'll know if it was a person that scratched up. You'll know if it was an animal that scratched up your face, your bed. You'll know.
But again, remember, informal settlements doesn't necessarily have electricity. So that means for you to see something in the dark, you have to light a candle or a.
Well, you
lantern.
don't know. You're deciding. You're assuming.
I'm assuming a lot of things, but I do think I am correct here.
No, I don't agree.
In my mind, I see this guy not being able to see something at night because it's too dark. And then something attacked him. It could have been a neighbor. It could have been a child playing. It could have been I don't know.
Okay, but change it around. You're saying this is an animal scratches, so an animal won't be able to grab you and pull you off. You'll realize that was something is you'll know the difference between a hand pulling you off and a paw pulling you from a bed or a mouth of an animal pulling you from a bed.
True.
You cannot put the scratching with the pulling off. One is person, one is animal. These two are combined. So, no. Unless Wolverine apparently came to attack this eye, or
Yeah, and we don't
Wolverine's
really have-
kids came to catch. No.
We don't really have animals that will attack you in your house. We don't have bears.
Yes, we have. We just don't necessarily live close to them.
But if a
Are you
lion,
insane?
if a lion came into our city, we will know about it.
Yes, after the first person died.
No, you'll see it. People see lions. Lions
Yes,
are rather big.
It's WhatsApp groups and everything that will immediately tell you
Um,
something is wrong here. But still, we still have enough.
I think the biggest thing that can grab you out of your
Places
house and
where they
scratch you
live in
would
the
be a
wild.
baboon. Because baboons do tend to get aggressive, and they do. That's the most likely case is a baboon.
No, because you would have heard the baboon and his teeth would have gone
Yeah.
through you. And after that horrible case, I think it was a baboon. I
was
talk
a
about a
baboon, yeah.
monkey a lot, but I
baboon,
think it
yeah.
was a baboon. that it wouldn't have made it into the township to grab him.
Yeah, exactly. But I said that would have been, so that definitely not lion, definitely not baboon. It could have been a child, someone playing.
Once again, scratching.
Yeah, but people can scratch.
And what kind of a massive multi-building, weight
Okay.
building could pull a man off of his bed? What kind of a child?
So something startles you. So I'm imagining this thing in my mind.
Pulling a grown man from its bed.
So let's say someone plays a prank on said person in 2014 in Gauteng. Gauteng is big, it can be anywhere. But anyway, you get startled. You have to get out of your bed, which is already on bricks.
No. He didn't get out of his bed. He was pulled from his bed.
Okay. He falls from his bed.
He was pulled, so he felt being pulled while he was scratched.
Okay, so someone pulls him from the bed.
While scratching him and scratching his bed completely. So it was...
Yeah, okay. My theory doesn't go.
No.
The bed scratched. I was just, you
Everything
fall
was
out now.
scratched.
You've got a tenant else. You run through a wall basically because you're scared. Now you scratched because you ran through a wall.
And the bed?
But the bed does nothing explains the bed.
The mattress is completely scratched apart.
What if he just had a very, very aggressive girlfriend?
He'd have known.
What if he was drunk?
I don't care how drunk you were.
Anyway.
That's not going to work. Anyway, anthropologists like those in the 2018 in Dulinga
No, your guess is as good as mine.
journal study, so it was whatever. I will not lie to you. The Tokoloshe exists. That's the heading of that study. So anyway, also note their beliefs serve social functions, explaining sudden illness, reinforcing community norms, and offering families a shared narrative for grief. Even here in a modern city of honking taxis and shopping malls, people whisper about dark figures seen near Durban's Mgeni River Mount. Sangomas hold court under neon lights in townships, offering protective charms, not just for ancestors but also against the Tokoloshe, which is funny because the reason Tokoloshes live, according to them, is because of Sangoma. Just saying. So you go to a Sangoma to get rid of the thing that the other Sangoma or that Sangoma sent to your house. So, the legend is stronger in black communities where oral tradition passes from elder to child, unbroken by textbooks. Yet you'll also find it in anthologies and even YouTube ghost hunt videos shot in the abandoned colonial ruins of the East Coast. Believe it or not, the Tokoloshe has jumped into fiction and film. South Africa horror movies like The Tokoloshe Sentinel from 2013 dramatize these antics complete with CGI claws and maniacal laughter. In literature, he appeared in childhood and anthologies alongside mermaids and dragons, reminding us that South Africa folklore is as rich and diverse as any in the world. What makes the Tokoloshe endure? He embodies universal fears of the dark or the unseen threats, of vulnerability while we sleep. Yet he's also a cautionary reminder. Envy, greed, and betrayal has consequences. When a jealous neighbor summons him to punish others, the blame eventually returns to the witch who lost control. In that sense, the Tokoloshe is more than a monster. He's a metaphor for the darker side of human nature.
Well, that's exactly what you just said there. Is a metaphor. It can be anything.
But anything works like that. If you wish evil or send evil to somebody else, some way or another, it's coming back to you.
Exactly that, but what?
The reason they say this can't be explained is because somebody actually gets ill. I remember once it was on radio where, I think it was on radio, it was something I read on the internet. I think it was the radio, where the woman said she loves this man and this man loves her. And they tried to make it work, but because his ex-girlfriend couldn't let him go, she got a Sangoma to put a curse on them. So their love would never work out. So because of that, they stopped trying. So when there's curses and stuff involved, or the Tokoloshe, it cannot be explained. Because obviously if a relationship doesn't work, you know why it doesn't work. They're like, we just can't make it work, no matter what.
I'm going to stick to my baboon theory.
It
Let's
can't
go.
be. A baboon won't scratch you
Okay,
apart.
not just that guy.
And his teeth.
Let's forget about that
a
guy.
baboon's
Yes,
teeth.
but
He'll bite something off. They bite. They bite your face off, literally. One of the most things I know about a baboon is keep your face freaking far away from it. It can bite your face off.
baboon, monkey. But I can remember back when this whole thing, all of the Tokoloshe stuff started. Firstly, okay, there's a lot I want to talk about
And
this.
baboons don't attack you in your sleep. Baboons don't attack unwarranted normally.
But baboons will forage for food.
But why would it attack a sleeping person when it's foraging for food?
Okay, I've got no idea how 200, 300 years ago what.
Screaming, throwing it or something by all means. Making it have to defend itself. I get it. This guy was in his sleep. Won't work.
Okay, but forget about him.
Okay.
In general, let's go back 500 years when the Tokoloshe theory started. Okay, in the Zulu culture or the Xhosa culture or whoever started it. So you in a very rural, not even rural, would have been a village back
Yes,
then.
small villages, yes.
It would have been a village, it would have probably been something like a
still get
teepee, but
villages.
back then they made it from mud houses.
I don't say it wasn't a teepee, it was mud houses.
Yeah, well,
It was
depending on the
very-
culture, so the Zulus had mud houses and the Xhosas would have had the thatch houses, all the same, but so basically just a one-room thing as well. It's a village, like you imagine, as you see on TV, the Africans would have a mud house. So you would have stashed food. Okay, then again, depending on the culture of which language you are, you had your foragers, and you had your farmers, and you had your hunters. But let's say you are a hunter-gatherer. That means you have to gather something, put it in your house. Now, this is time before cities and roads or anything, so now you're out there. Now something comes into your house or your home or your village at night looking for food. Could have been a baboon. And that's where stories like this start. Is a baboon or a monkey came into your house.
Okay,
and
but
then
wild
remember,
animals
but
especially back then would have come into your houses because they roamed free back then.
yes,
It
but
weren't
again, but
specific
now
places
it
for
goes
them.
to illness. So baboons and monkeys do carry quite a lot of illnesses, especially if they do scratch and bite. You can rabies, you can get a lot of infections.
Okay, but not all of them were scratched.
I know, but still, fleas, whatever you got sick from animals, it would have been possible. So that was 500, 600 years ago. So move forward, and that story gets carried down from generation to generation about something coming into your house at night, a meter high, something.
Okay, once again, why would a baboon, actually most wild animals, why would they not be able to get on your bed?
But remember, that's just adding to the
Either
story.
they're high enough
But remember, that's just adding to the story.
or they can climb.
Then again, 500 years ago, no electricity. That means if something came into your house at night, you didn't actually see what it was.
Yes, once again, they would still get onto your bed.
They would. But remember, this
Animal, get
the
on your
story
bed.
just gets a tail. So basically, the first person said something came into my house
You're
last night
making something up.
about this high. I'm making it up, but I'm trying to explain it how it makes logical sense.
No, that does not make any logical sense. You're making an entirely different story and deciding, oh, way back when the story started, it was just somebody. No,
It's just
that's not how it
adding to the
works.
story. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's adding to it's
This
just
story was passed down through generations.
yeah, but it's never exact.
Wild animals would be able to get on your bed.
They would.
Baboons, definitely, they would stand on freaking high. They can climb trees and stuff. They would probably come from your roof, not from your
But remember,
floor.
broken telephone. I'm explaining the
No,
broken telephone situation.
that does not
One
make
generation
sense
said to the next generation, and then they forgot to say that it was maybe a baboon, and then they're like, well, something came into my room, and then the next
No.
generation had something
Nope.
short came into my room, and the next generation said, okay, but something
No.
with
I
a
do
massive
not agree.
schlong
You're
came into
making
my
up-
house.
You're making up your own stuff here
I
and
think I'm
changing
right.
a whole
I'm going. I'm
cultural history.
I am the psychologist
No, you're not.
or the dreamologist.
Nope.
I think
Just
it's
a fake
broken
person
telephone.
making
I
up the
think
fake stories.
If something came from so far back and it changed into a thing with a massive schlong coming into your room in the middle of the night, it's probably broken telephone.
Nope. Don't agree with
It
you.
was an animal, now it's not an animal.
Nope. It was
and
never
now,
an animal.
And now we just blame it for
I
normal
don't agree
things.
with you. Not whatsoever.
Next up for my discussion point of my psychologicalness is if I'm not mistaken, the Tokoloshe is a water nymph.
No, not that I'm
I
aware
think
of.
if you can.
Well, you can say because it's crocodile. It means crocodile. That
A
might
water
be.
sprite. They call it a water sprite. So that means it's a water nymph. So
Well,
but it's
they're
also
called a crocodile. So.
but it's also a dwarf. It's of course a crocodile, and then which is interesting because obviously it's not even landlocked. It's not even waterlogged. It's landlocked. It's on land.
Well, you didn't know.
Okay, well I haven't been on a boat with the Tokoloshe before, so maybe you have. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know.
It's just interesting. So it's something water born that goes into houses. It's a dwarf. So if we had to classify it, what was it? Because I was thinking, could it be a small troll? But trolls are supposed to be big, according to Norse mythology. Trolls are big.
I have ghostly effects here. I don't think it comes in through something. I think it appears.
Especially with invisibility. But then back to it's a vampire. It's got all the traits of a vampire.
No,
except
it
for
doesn't. It's got none of the traits of a vampire. Wait, what traits of a vampire? Invisibility.
Invisibility.
Congratulations, a vampire can go invisible. No.
No, it's invisibility. It's got the fear. It's got
You're reaching here.
everything.
You're
turns to
reaching
vampires.
so far.
Everything's a vampire. Okay, I'm reaching now. I'm just saying it's weird having
Nope.
something like
Move
the
it along.
Tokoloshe that can be anything.
Okay, so next, is there anything else you have to say rather than supposed vampire? Nope.
Maybe. I
Blankness?
might have more things.
Oh,
I might have more things.
you're reaching.
I'm going for Krampus.
What the heck is a
So-
Krampus?
German, Germanic German. They've got this myth. Well, not a myth. Let's not say myth in case don't come for me. I'm going to read it from a legend of the Krampus dates back centuries, originating as a German Christmas tradition during the 12th century. So that's a long time ago. Beginning in the early December, the children of Germany would begin to hear whispers of a dark-haired creature bearing horns and fangs, carrying a bundle of birch sticks used to swat naughty children. So now I'm feeling Krampus vibes
There's nothing
here.
about the
So,
long schlong.
No, but so now it doesn't say small, but a heavy thing that comes into your house. That's how I understood the Krampus
Sorry,
is.
horns. The moment you said horns, I was like, nope, not
Who
the
says
same
the Tokoloshe
thing.
doesn't have horns? Have you
No,
seen the Tokoloshe?
They would have said it here specifically because a thing that has horns, you'll be afraid it's the devil himself.
Okay, but anyway, but Krampus is supposed to be big.
You
It can
won't
be small.
think it's a Sangoma thing. You'll think it's the devil that was summoned directly.
But it
That's
might be
no-
classified in the same
Well, they could be cousins.
creature.
Who know?
Could be cousins. Because obviously it's not Bigfoot, because Bigfoot's big.
There was a other part where I also read what I don't know. It was weird. They said they didn't summon the Tokoloshe like this. It was you have to find a dead person, and poke them in the eye with needles and stuff, and that's how you get the Tokoloshe. But that's not possible because you'd have to find a crap load of dead people to do that. So I was just like, no, I don't believe this one.
But also remember the episode we did about the Indonesian puppet little thingy?
Yes.
It was also something that's alive that was made by someone, I believe. I can't remember. What was it again?
No, it was a witch that wanted to be immortal, and they did a
Good
spell
kind
and ended up they basically they were punished and
But that's
ended
also
up
kind of in the same ballpark.
in their own. Yeah, no, it's not the same because it's like saying this Ngoma ended up.
Well, I remember seeing those photos of the stuff they found and thinking that could have been a Tokoloshe. I think that's where we actually spoke
No,
about
remember
it being a Tokoloshe.
it's not the same thing because the Tokoloshe is made by a Sangoma. So
Sangoma.
let's say a
Okay, remember,
witch.
Sangoma
In this
was a
case,
witch, yeah.
yes.
A
So
witch
let's
doctor,
say
a witch, yeah.
it's made. This thing, I'm just looking for its exact name, was not made by someone. It was the witch turning into that thing. I'm just trying to find its like that. I'm going through all my stuff here, but for some reason it's not. Jenglot.
A Jenglot.
Yes. You're
Yeah, I
talking
remember.
about
I
the
think that's where we
Jenglot.
started talking about Tokoloshes. A Jenglot made me think of a Tokoloshe, but
It's not
Who
the
knows?
same thing. Like I say, the one is the physical sorcerer or whatever you want to call them turning into this little thing, and then there's Tokoloshe. So I would have said yes, it makes sense, but the thing is, the witch is still there, controlling it. So no, the song Goma. So anyway, next time you wake up in the dead of night and wonder what brushes your foot, remember the Tokoloshe.
It might be Shlong.
Maybe it's just the wind, or maybe it's a small, pale creature sent to remind you that some shadows won't vanish with a flick of a switch. Whether you see him as cultural memory, psychological phenomenon, or something truly supernatural, the Tokoloshe keeps us looking over our shoulder, and that's why his legend lives on.
If this journey into South African folklore stirred your curiosity, subscribe, leave a review, and share your own stories of the unknown. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and share with your fellow folklore fans.
Until next time, stay curious and keep the legend alive. Bye!
Bye!